Hey guys, it is NCS Fan 001 here for another one of those weekly trophy list updates. Today's date is Monday, February 6th, 2023. So this will have covered the week of January 30th through February 5th of 2023. I would say this was a reasonably productive week overall, no major complaints, definitely several positives. So the first thing I do want to mention is that Ghost has been working on Minecraft, and supposedly it sounds like we might actually be getting another DLC for it at some point in the near future, or at least at some point like within the next 6 months or so, so it's expected that we will get another one, but I don't know exactly when that will happen. I still feel surprised that it hasn't come out yet. But that being out of the way, we can talk about the games that I actually earned trophies in. So I didn't get to play Terminator this past week. I was too busy working on SpongeBob the Cosmic Shake, the new SpongeBob game, aka the spiritual successor to SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. It's a pretty easy platinum trophy overall, and it's been a whole lot of fun to stream so far. I've had several really highly viewed streams so far, which is awesome. So, to get all the trophies, everything through here is story-related and unmissable. These guys are the ones, they're sort of like the Chucks from the Battle for Bikini Bottom. They shoot like a goo ball at you, and you just have to reflect it back and hit them with it and kill them with it. The Burrower is the giant worm-looking thing. Just have it come up out of the ground and kill 10 enemies. It can be different Burrowers throughout the course of the game, so nothing too difficult there. This one's a little bit trickier because the Big Jelly, he sometimes takes a little while to actually, like, use the attack that'll hit the enemies. So he can be a little bit of a grindy one, but nothing too difficult. Then we have our first couple of level-specific trophies, or boss fight-specific trophies. The boss fight-specific trophies seem to be the hardest part of the game. So, for example, this one you have to catch Mr. Krabs in 3 minutes, and I could only get it in like 2.5 minutes, so there's not a whole lot of time for error on this part. This one is also a little bit tricky just because, I mean, you only have to hit Sandy 3 times, but there's several attacks that are pretty difficult to dodge. Like she has her, when she turns her wheel onto the ground and it spins around over the ground like a UFO or something, that one's a little bit tougher to dodge. And then the one where it's all of her like bodyguards or whatever start storming around the arena. But you can sort of dash through them, and if you dash through them, it seems to not do any damage to you. So let's see, the Dutchman ship, I nearly got that on my first run of the level, so that's not going to be hard. This is apparently the hardest trophy in the game, so not looking forward to that, or at least one of the hardest trophies. This one I thought I got during my original run, but apparently I guess it didn't count. This one, I don't know how this one is so common compared to some of the others, because this one felt like it would be really difficult. I might need to look this one up. And the Gary one, of course, I'll probably have to look up just to see exactly what you're supposed to do. The Glovey Glove one is pretty easy, though, because he just launches projectiles all over the arena, so you just have to have those defeat 20 enemies. That's pretty easy. And this one's also pretty easy. This is during the final boss fight. For the most part, the tentacles don't do a whole lot. It's mostly just avoiding... Well, really, I don't even think the shockwaves and stuff actually count against you. I'm pretty sure all you have to do is just dodge the tentacle attacks, which is pretty easy. Then this one is... The Jelly Makers are the sort of big goo-looking enemies, the big blob-looking enemies, and you have to knock other enemies into them in order to kill them. This one's a little bit finicky just because the enemies that you try to knock into the Jelly Maker can be just a little bit questionable as to whether or not they're even gonna, hit it or whatever. So this one may take quite a few tries, but at least you only have to get 5 of them. Then push 50 enemies with the Jelly Maker Roar. This one's pretty much unmissable as you play through the game. They're gonna roar, and that's basically their shockwave type attack. This one's very easy. This one's gonna come naturally. This one is best done in the medieval world when you're climbing up the castle. So that's like the next to last world. When you're climbing up the castle, there's a great spot where both a Big Jelly and a Baby Boom are pretty close together. So that's a great place to get this trophy. The Tartar Jellies, you're going to come across these guys all throughout the game. Just bubble them 10 times while they're in the middle of launching their tar attack. Or, not tar, tartar sauce attacks. This one, I don't entirely know when I got it. I just know that it kind of came naturally. The ninjellies will just sort of run around and like sprint charge at you or roll charge at you. And I guess that sometimes they just hit certain things and it knocks them over. So environmental hazards include things like the exploding tikis, but I guess there were others. Maybe other enemies count as well. This one is extremely easy. Just defeat any 50 enemies without taking damage from those specific enemies. This one's going to come naturally early on. This one is probably going to come naturally pretty early on. I don't remember exactly where I got it. Probably in like downtown or something. The 10,000 jellies at once is very easy because the only things you spend jellies on in this game are costumes. And while you do need to get all the costumes, you don't need the jellies to like open up pathways or anything like you did in Battle for Bikini Bottom. So you can just hold on to them until you get to 10,000. Catching jellyfish is not actually catching them. It's basically just hitting them with any attack while in any costume, and it counts as catching them. By the way, this game actually has an in-game awards menu, which is effectively a trophy tracker. And so far, knock on wood, despite being a trophy tracker in a game, which typically causes problems, it has not caused me any problems, at least not yet. That's why I knocked on wood. The destroy 500 objects is very, very easy and should come naturally while you're going for everything else in the game. Just, break everything that you come across. Bubble 100 enemies is very simple. Just, start bubbling enemies whenever you can. The bubbling isn't a particularly useful ability in this game because it basically just stops the enemies from... It just bubbles them up for a few seconds. It doesn't really do a whole lot. So I don't find myself really using it that much for combat, but this trophy itself is very easy. Just bubble 100 enemies, simple enough. Karate kick 100 enemies, this one is very easy because the karate kick is really good. It allows you to chain attacks. You don't have to deal the killing blow, you just have to actually hit them 100 times. The 50 buttons should come naturally while going for all the other trophies in the game, probably well before you actually even finish the main story. The 1,000 tikis is pretty simple as well. Just destroy any tikis you come across, and you'll get this definitely before you finish the main story. This one is related to the reef blower. I don't really know why that's a secret trophy. It's not difficult, it's just that you don't get the reef blower until, I want to say, Glove World, so you don't get it until like right at the end of the game. So it will take a little bit of farming there while going back for everything else. Gliding 1,000 meters is extremely easy. That's basically unmissable. This one, technically you might not get it normally, but just go to any jump pad and stand on it until you get 10 jumps in a row. It's that simple. This, I'm almost positive, is referring to the Golden Spatula collectibles. There's one on each level, and I'm almost positive that that's what this is referring to. I've found maybe 6 of them so far. I can't remember which one I missed. Probably either the Medieval one or the Glove World one. Hit 25 NPCs is super simple. It can be the same NPC over and over again. The Beach Umbrellas one is pretty easy. There's several places you can do it in Goo Lagoon, Pirate Goo Lagoon. I still have no idea what this is, so that's one I'm definitely going to have to look up. Maybe I'll save that for last. Unlock all the costumes requires you to find all the gold coins throughout each level, which will unlock all the costume tiers, and then you spend your jellies to purchase the actual costumes. And this one, as far as I can tell, is unlocked. This one's almost effectively like getting the Platinum Trophy. I don't think you can get this one until you've finished like all of the side quests and stuff in the game. And, 100% at every level. I think that's how this works. Maybe there's an additional final boss or something, or a secondary, like, special boss fight or something. That'd be kind of a cool thing, because it's like how in Battle for Bikini Bottom, if you finish the game, like if you did the first 98 spatulas and then finished the game by your 99th and 100th being the final battle, it gives you, like, an extra cutscene. So it would be kind of cool if they did something like this. Because that trophy is pretty rare. That might be one of the rarest trophies total. Yeah, I think it is, aside from the Platinum itself. Okay, interesting enough. But yeah, SpongeBob is going well so far. I plan to be streaming it several more times this coming week. We might be able to knock this out in just 2 more streams, which will then allow me to jump back into Terminator and eventually, some more Fallout. But another major game I was working on this week is Grand Theft Auto 5. And as you guys can see, that Doomsday heist percentage has jumped up quite a bit. So, of course, I had already set up the Doomsday Heist and completed Act 1 and completed Act 3. So, those were all already done last week, but in this most recent week, we completed Act 2, which also unlocked completing the actual Doomsday Heist. So, you only have to complete the finales. You don't actually have to complete all the setups for these trophies to unlock. So, if you're just jumping into someone else's game, that can save you some time. But yeah, you just have to complete the finale of each act, and you'll get all of these trophies, especially if you set up a heist. So that'll get you 5 out of your 8 trophies without any real difficulty. The orbital cannon, once again, is also pretty easy. It's just very, very expensive to actually purchase it and then even fire it. I highly recommend doing this with a boosting partner in a private session, just so that you know that your shot will not miss and you won't end up wasting many thousands of dollars on it. Now, the 2 big trophies, as I've always talked about, are Elitist and Masterminds, but as you guys can see, we knocked out the Elite challenges this weekend. Very, very happy about that. This trophy is now my rarest trophy on my profile. On PSN Profiles, it is a 0.6%. My next closest is Far Cry 2 at 0.65. This is all current. These are all probably change over time. And then my third rarest is the Black Ops 3 Platinum at around 0.73. So this is my new rarest trophy that I have ever earned. It's certainly not easy. It's definitely tedious and kind of annoying. But this one really isn't too terrible overall. Like, the rest of this heist, like all these other trophies are pretty much like a 3.5 out of 10, the same way as the regular heist DLC. This trophy in particular jumps it up to like a 4, 4.5, probably like no more than a 4.5 out of 10, just because the Act 1 Elite Challenge is really easy as long as you have the facility that's real close to where you have to go. So, like the Sandy Shores facility, there might be a couple of others. Because that one, the time limit is really, really strict. It's the only one where the time limit's the biggest problem. Because killing like 78 enemies or whatever it is really not that hard. And not dying isn't particularly hard once you know what you're doing. But you only have like 5.5 minutes, so that's definitely the hardest part of this one. Then the Act 2 finale, this one took us a while to figure out a good strategy for. But what we started doing was we would send the 2 people in the Stromberg. They would clear the submarine, and they got really, really good at that, so we didn't have any problems there. But for the Avenger team, that's where you have to be careful, because the Avenger's only allowed to take up to 5% damage, which is definitely the hardest part of the mission. But what you can do is you can have one player piloting the helicopter, the Avenger, and the other player calls in a boat from Pegasus. They drop out to the dock where the boat spawns at, and they drive that boat back over to the nearby beach near where the submarine is, while the player using the Avenger just swings the Avenger around and parks it on the beach, instead of going up into the air and trying to defend against enormous numbers of enemy helicopters. Plus, when you do it this way, usually the enemy helicopters don't even attack you, which is awesome. So we just go out into the water, you pick up your other 2 players from the boat, and you fly or drive everyone back to the beach. You shoot down the few helicopters that are there at that point in time, and then you take off in the Avenger and get to LSIA. So we finished that one after, it took a couple hours of fine-tuning our strategy, but it wasn't too bad. Act 3 was really, really annoying. Act 3 is not a fun time, because all the requirements together are what makes it pretty challenging, because not dying on that mission is much harder than on the other 2, just because there's so many enemies. Then you have to get 150 headshots, which we ended up surpassing by about 100, so we had like 250. So that's a fairly lenient requirement as long as everyone knows what they're doing. I could see it being a lot harder if you were doing it in like 2-player, though. I could see it being significantly harder in 2-player, actually. You can't fail any of the hacks, which is fairly easy once you have someone in the group that knows what they're doing with the hacks. And then you have to finish the mission in under half an hour. Now, we were heavily struggling with the entering the facility part because we kept using the buggy because it saves a couple minutes, but we just kept failing more often than not, and it was just starting to get really, really annoying. So eventually we just decided to start using the tank because the tank is slower, but it's basically a guaranteed clear of the first area of the level. So in the end, we were able to figure it out. It took, quite a few tries to get through, but we did eventually get it, especially once we started using the tank. We did it with exactly 1 minute to spare, and like I said, we had about 100 extra headshots. Didn't fail any hacks, of course, didn't die. So, yeah, we did it. The Elite Challenges are done. I'm very proud of that because that is, again, my now rarest trophy. It's not the hardest trophy I've ever earned by any means. It's just rather tedious. Criminal Masterminds, though, I'm leaning more and more towards not even really attempting this one heavily. I'm going to know for a fact, though, this coming weekend, because this coming weekend we are going to attempt the 4-player version of it, and we're going to see just how brutal it is. And I think after this weekend, I'll know if this trophy is ever going to be obtainable for me or not. This trophy is like a 0.48% on PSN profiles, which would therefore make it by far my rarest trophy I will ever earn, or have ever earned, possibly ever will earn. So we're going to give it a try, but remember that to get this trophy, you have to complete a Criminal Mastermind challenge at all, you have to complete the heist, all the missions of it in the exact order, with the exact same players, on hard difficulty without anyone dying or restarting a checkpoint at any time. And that can also be voided if you ever have a problem with connection, because on one of our runs of the Act 3 Elite Challenge, the host just randomly got disconnected, not from PSN, but from GTA Online, and therefore, we failed right there. So that's sort of what I fear with this, especially knowing the fact that this trophy is supposedly, or these challenges themselves can be quite buggy at times. So I honestly don't know. And you have to do it 3 times because you have to do it with 4 players, 3 players, and 2 players. And a single run of the Doomsday Heist takes like a good 8 hours. So I don't know who out there was sadistic enough to create this trophy or thought it was a good idea. But they have no place in the game design world anymore and really need to be fired and blacklisted. And, I could have said worse things, but YouTube apparently doesn't like that stuff anymore. So, yeah, that's where we are on GTA 5. I will know after this coming weekend whether or not I'm even really ever going to go for that last trophy. The other possibility is that maybe I find some god-tier player out there that is able to carry me, but I don't know how likely that is. We will have to see. And finally, I picked up PowerWash Simulator. I had to. This game is just a joy to watch people play, even online, so I figured it was time to pick it up and play it. The Platinum Trophy, according to the Xbox Achievements website, obtaining all of the achievements, at least for them, was only about a 2 out of 10 in difficulty, which is nice, but it is a pretty time-consuming, like 50 to 60 hour game, so it does take a while, but apparently it's quite easy. So you have to own all of the different nozzles, pretty much, and all the cleaning liquids and all of the attachments for them is going to get you pretty much everything through here, which is going to be pretty much something I think that you can get naturally once you've completed all the jobs and have a lot of money. You also have to equip an outfit, gloves, and washer modification at the same time. Again, that just costs money. The van, I thought I did this one, but it could be that I restarted the job in the middle, and that's why it didn't unlock for me. Because I thought I did it correctly, but I guess I didn't. So I guess I'll have to go back and replay this one. The van is at least the shortest job in the game, so it should be not really much of a problem. At least I think it's the shortest one. The red nozzle is the most precise nozzle. It's the one that doesn't have any sort of angle of spray, so it shoots just very directly and very hard. The backyard is the only other level I've done so far, and it's just clean the 12 stepping stones first. That's very easy because the stepping stones are fairly small and very simple to clean. But then pretty much every single area of the game has, every single level has its own unique trophy, which is where a majority of your progress is going to come from. I don't think every single one does, but most of them have their own. So that's what a vast majority of the trophies in this game are. Then you complete career mode to get this trophy, so that's a story trophy, another level trophy. The stars is actually pretty simple. You're going to end up getting this 150 stars in career mode by the time that you fully clean every single site. So that's just what takes so long with this game, is that it takes a while to get that far. The 95% of any job without completing any tasks, I'm not sure if the van is going to be the best option for this, just because there's a couple things that take almost nothing to clean. But it seems like the best option is to basically clean about 95% of each object that you can clean. So I would think, though, the van might be the easiest way to get it. Then we have this. That's another level-specific one. Then you have the gold medals in challenge mode. You only have to get 5. They are related to both water conservation and or... Like, let's see. You have, water conservation and or time. So I would assume the van ones are probably pretty easy, but I'm not sure what the other ones are going to be like. And then complete a special job. I think that's like the Mars rover and stuff like that. So the extras... So it's not a particularly hard platinum. It's just a very, very time-consuming one. One that I'm going to work on probably pretty casually over the next several weeks. I don't think the game auto-pops, but I'm doing the PS4 version first just in case it does. But I kind of highly doubt that it does. So, level 817, 32%, 25,222 total trophies, 693 platinums, 4,517 golds, 6,660 silvers, that's almost a very devilish number, and, well, it kind of already is, and 13,352 bronzes. So, plans for the upcoming week. I intend to stream SpongeBob a couple of times and hopefully finish that platinum trophy so that we can get back to Terminator. And who knows, maybe, I doubt I will finish that this week because I want to live stream the entirety of it. Then after this weekend, I will know whether or not GTA 5 is one that I'm actually going to be able to 100%. If we are able to get through the 4-player Criminal Mastermind, then yes, I will go for it with the 3-player and the 2-player, because that's already 1/3 of the process. Now, I don't know which ones are easier than others. I don't know if the 4-player would be the easiest or the hardest. I feel like in some ways it would be the easiest because you have more people, shooting and doing objectives, but at the same time, you also have more chances for people to screw up and die. So, I don't know. Maybe 4-player's easier, maybe it's the hardest. I guess we will find out. But other than GTA 5, Terminator Resistance, already talked about both of those, and Cosmic Shake, it looks like me and Ghost and I think Killer are going to be doing Dead Island Riptide very soon. So that's going to be one that we should be able to knock out pretty quickly, at least the multiplayer part of it. That's what we care about, is the multiplayer part of it. So we're hoping that we're going to be able to knock that out within the next couple of weeks. So Division 2 is getting pushed back to March at earliest, which would also include the Outer Worlds. If I get done with some of this other stuff, I want to do April, COD Classic, and Shadow of the Colossus, as well as the Horizon Forbidden West DLC that's coming out that month. And then May and beyond, a few other old games, etc. That's really... It's a lot of the same things I've talked about before. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really, quite tired tonight. But yeah, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Please like, favorite, share, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell if you haven't already. Like I said, should be quite a few streams this upcoming week, and the last Aruba vlog has been uploaded, so no more looking at that. The video for the Platinums, 677 through 691 or whatever it was, when I got the 15 Platinums in one night, that video, the script is done, the audio's recorded, it's just got to be edited down, so I'm actually excited for that. That should be a fun video to upload. So, yeah, once again, that's going to be it. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys later this week for some more streams and other content.